Researchers and engineers have teamed up with Formula One outfit Mercedes to adapt a breathing aid for mass production that could keep coronavirus patients off much-needed ventilators. And that and more updates. Joining us live from the United Kingdom is Jennifer Ringwood. Jennifer.
Hello, Alma.
Hello, Jennifer.
Good to see you. What you mentioned there, the Formula One team are working with medical researchers and engineers. Incidentally, this type of medical equipment would normally take years, and it's been something that they've been able to develop in a matter of days. They believe that this equipment, it's what we would be using for sleep apnea. It's called a CPAP. And that is a positive airway pressure device which keeps the airways open. So for those who are in less of a critical situation, they hope that this device would actually help keep the ventilators there for the more critical people. Now what Mercedes and the engineers have done is they've created a process. It's a modified CPAP that works with a little higher pressure, I think, is what they've said here. It increases the oxygen and airflow into the lungs and has already been used in places like Italy and China, so that those with more serious lung infections can use the ventilators, and those with less serious lung infections can hopefully recover from the virus using this instead. Now, they expect to be able to produce up to 1,000 a day, which would really help with the ventilator shortage that we have. Although these aren't the same as ventilators, they would very, very much help free up the ventilators that are required for the more serious patients. I have a lot to go through with you here.
Go ahead.
It's every day it's changing and minute by minute. So yeah. I might give you numbers right now, and then in an hour, because of the way that the hospitals are reporting deaths and positive tests, that could be out of date in 20, 30, 40 minutes. So it's quite difficult to keep on top of it all. We've got a lot of things. So they're expecting that we're going to need, on average, about 30,000 ventilators at the peak of our infections. And right now, we're still short. In the country at the moment, and again, this may have changed in the past 40 minutes or so, we believe we have over 8,000, possibly near to 9,000 already in the country, in the NHS, of the ventilators that are needed. But if you look at that in relation to we need 30,000, and we have around 8,000 or 9,000 currently, production is really, they're trying to step it up. We have 5,000 on order with a company based in Luton. This is a medical equipment company. They now want to double and ramp up their production and try to give us 10,000, and that's the Parapack ventilators. So these are a more portable version of the device, but they are proper ventilators. It's just amazing how industry are trying their best to meet the need for what is potentially going to be needed right now. Dyson, as we know, they think that they can produce 10,000 with their prototype. G-Tech, another British company, they're developing a prototype that would run entirely off an oxygen supply from a hospital. So it's quite incredible how they are working so hard to try and meet the need here. And I believe this is a collaborative effort with specialists, scientists and engineers, not just in this country, but they're also taking advice from countries who are going through the process currently. We have, oh gosh, there is a lot here, sister Alma. So that's Mercedes-Benz. The shortage in testing, shall I go through that, Alma?
Please do.
Yes, right. So the shortage in testing, although that they have made this antigen test available to NHS workers, they simply still haven't been able to release enough. So that is still causing a problem for our NHS workers. So there are, again, people who are having to self-isolate because they do not know if they have the virus, if they have had the virus, or so they're having to stay home when they could possibly be going back to work. The equipment, again, that's being released more. and more hospitals are saying that they are receiving it. But again, there is still a little amount of anxiety, although hospitals, for the majority, they don't seem to be at full capacity yet, so we're nowhere near reaching our peak. It does look like we will eventually meet the need, and if everybody can follow the advice and stay indoors and try to reduce the pressure on the NHS, it does look like we will succeed. So going back to the Mercedes one, I forgot to mention this. University College Hospital, they're already running the clinical trials on these already. It's been a matter of days. We heard yesterday that they had already received 40 of these CPAP machines, and they're aiming to provide 100 among 3 other hospitals as well. I think there is just so much to tell you right now, Alma.
Yeah. Well, I just read this one now. According to a Birmingham MP, older Muslim and Sikh people are struggling to adhere to quarantine guidelines such as physical distancing because of religious beliefs. If you can come up with that, I don't know if you have anything on that now. If the government and police taken a more hands-on approach by imposing fines or arrests on this, you can get back with me on this, but if you have anything right now, yeah.
I know about the fines. That's already we've been warned over the weekend that anybody going out without a good reason, they can face a fine from the police, strong warnings and things like that. In terms of specific religious groups having an issue, I haven't heard that as yet. I know Muslim neighbours, they seem to be doing okay at the moment, although, yes, they are having to isolate within the home. I have heard that somebody was arrested for coughing on a police officer who was COVID positive. And he is actually going to be given a prison sentence. You did catch me off guard, so I don't have the absolute details of that, but it has been a fact that somebody that was being questioned by the police decided he was going to cough on the police officer, and he was charged. I believe he will have to do some time, whether it's weeks or months, I really couldn't tell you. But yes, definitely, it is ramping up here. We don't quite have the same state as Italy, but for the most part, it does seem that everybody is understanding the message and cooperating. There are a number of elderly who are still having difficulty just getting the basic things like groceries and that sort of thing. But the nice thing about it is neighbourhoods are collaborating, working together and trying to help each other. I can say from my experience here, we are a very diverse road. We've got people from every nationality on this street, and it's lovely that they are being very caring. Doesn't matter where you're from originally. As a human race on this road, I would say that that good spirit and looking after each other it's a stronger spirit than anything negative that I would say here. I can give you an update on numbers, but again, that may have changed. So since the testing has been ramped up, we've got 19,522. That was correct just over an hour ago. And the cases of deaths, that has been a frightening number, actually. It's 1,228. But we are receiving updates quite quickly on those because the hospitals are... there's a glitch in how they're reporting this information. So there's a certain disparity at the moment. We can't really be accurate. And there are claims that, speculation that these figures of deaths could possibly be 3 times because we're not taking into account other areas. So we don't fully know how many of these are from old people's homes or if they are being reported in the same way as through the NHS. So a little bit of confusion there, and I can't at the moment get accurate figures for you.
Yeah, Jennifer, can you hear me? Oh, okay.
Yes, I can.
Okay, so what would you say has been the impact on the local economy with the significant reduction of tourists now?
At the moment, with the help that is coming through, that is being minimised. The 0 hours contracts or people that are self-employed, this is a grey area. So some are able to access help, some are still waiting to see if there will be a government bailout. It looks like for some of them they'll be waiting 3 months before they can actually access anything. So the ready cash right now, that's the thing that a lot of people are asking. How do we, say for example, somebody who's a self-employed actor, they may only have savings for a month. If they have to wait 3 months to access anything, how will they survive in the meantime? But it does look like the government is very seriously trying to take hold of this and try to alleviate the panic that is occurring for that particular group of people that find themselves without a financial income. I'm sorry, did I miss something from your question?
No, actually, that's good. Thank you for the updates,
Yeah,
and thank you for your time. I know you're busy, but thank you so much, Jennifer, for all that updates. Keep safe, keep
no
healthy.
problem. No problem. Thank you, Alma. I'm Jennifer Ringwood. We live in interesting times.